it's Lorian. This is episode 26 of Knitting Monologues, where it's really just me sitting, chatting with you about my knitting. Today is Sunday, April 13th, and it is a holiday season. Today is Palm Sunday, so a blessed Palm Sunday for those of you that observe, and it's the start to Holy Week. It is also Passover, so happy Passover to those of you who are observing, and if you have other holidays that you're observing, blessings, and I hope they are happy ones for you. I am wearing a new finished object. I have another one to show you, and I have a couple of works in progress, and we'll talk a little bit about my plans, a book that I'm reading. I used to call this channel Knitting and I always had a second topic to chat about, and the book I'm reading really sort of feeds into that. I also have a giftaway, I guess I call it, something I purchased for myself that really just doesn't work for me, that I'd rather see go into the hands of someone who might enjoy them. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, sit back, stay tuned, or just listen along. And if this is your first time here, thanks for checking things out. If you're returning, thank you as well. And please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It does tell YouTubers like you and I that this is content they might be interested in watching, and it tells YouTube to show this video to other people. I am wearing my latest finished sweater, and it is the last of the 5 or so that I have been working on over the last couple of months. This sweater is called Springfling. I feel like a nice Easter egg in it. I changed the bottom and the edgings. I did make a few other modifications, and for me it came out a bit longer, and a little bit longer in the sleeves as well. So I did a really pretty alternating color, 2-color seed stitch instead of a ribbed bottom. I made some other modifications. The pattern is designed by Saskie Co, who used to design under the name The Petite Knitter, and she was on my list of people I wanted to try, designers I wanted to try this year. So I also had a different plan for this color. Once I found this yarn, the bluish green, this really pretty teal color, I had intended to pair it with this color changing yarn. And for me, this just became too much. As I tried to work with it and then I was managing the colors, I just wasn't really cutting it. Now I did work a little bit in to this row here, that's why that's a different color. So this yarn is Louise Robert Designs, or Louise Robert Collection. It is the DK Pure base, which is 90%, I think it's superwash merino and 10% silk. It is very dreamy to work with. This color is called Loch, L-O-C-H. And I purchased it through Biscotti Yarns at Vogue Knitting Live. They did not actually bring this base, but I had seen it in November at Fiber Festival of New England and needed to sort of simmer on it for a little bit, and then contacted them before Vogue Knitting Live, asked if they were bringing this. They said no, but how many do you need? We will bring it for you. So I purchased 5 skeins and used about 3.5 of them in the sweater. I knit the 4th size. I probably could have knit the 3rd, but I did want it to be a bit oversized. You'll see this again with my other finished object. The pinks are a combination. I stranded together these 2 colors. So you can see this one's a little much warmer peachy pink, and this one is a bright, almost soft neon pink. This one is from Gesa and Flow, which is yarn by Zitron. I purchased this, it was in the sale bin. I purchased 5 balls of it from one of my local yarn stores, just figuring it was a pretty color and I might use it. This is suri lace. It is it is yarn that I purchased from Backloop Yarn Co., which then turned into Backloop Yarn and Fiber. Her name is Erin, and she's lovely. She is actually closing her own dyeing business and only dyeing for one of her local stores. This color is called Strawberry Lip Gloss. So these three made up this beautiful sweater, minus a small amount of color changing yarn in this third row. Let's see. The one thing that the sweater did not have, which is really one of my preferences, is short rows to raise the back. And I knew it had a wider neck, so I decided to put them underneath the yoke, underneath the color work. So there are short rows only in the back that go underneath the color work. I have added them to the top of the color work before, but because sometimes you don't want to do that because you don't want to mess up the line, even in the back of the sweater. And I found a video. I wasn't sure, I knew how to do short rows, but I wasn't exactly sure how to place them, how many turns to make. And I found the Unapologetic Knitter, who is a test knitter and has a YouTube channel. And I have learned so much. If you're interested in sort of the technical aspects, or you need something like that, she's an amazingly intelligent and a wealth of knowledge. And she had a video that I will link in the show notes that I used in trying to figure out how many stitches to go in either direction to create that wedge to raise the back of the sweater. This pattern, a couple of the key things that I look for that when I come and chat with you about sweater designs this year, I'm adding in. The first and foremost is there a schematic? Yes, there is. It's very basic, very simple. It has the key measurements that you would need, which would be the circumference of the body, the yoke depth, the sweater length, and it's written with short sleeves or long sleeves. It's only photographed with short sleeves, but I knew that I was going to want a long sleeve sweater. And it has the drop, which of course is variable. It does have charts for the color work. They're only charted. It's only charted. The materials, so the amount of yarn that you need, is in length, meaning yards or meterage, not in grams. The clarity of writing, it is very clear. It's also fairly basic. Other than these color work rows, there's not a lot that you need to know. This would make, if you can do color work, this would make an amazing first color work sweater. There are no advanced skills required, other than, as I mentioned, I added the short rows and I changed the cuffs and waist ribbing from rib to two-color seed stitch. Overall, I think it makes a very pretty top. I think it would be cute as a short sleeve sweater as well. The original design, I believe, used Cardiff cashmere, which would make it for a very pricey sweater, which is also why short sleeves would be kind of nice. And it's almost more of a t-shirt version as a short sleeve. I find it really cozy. I think it is perfect for spring. I found that I could not put this down as I was knitting through the yoke. Got to the short rows, got done, and because I was working on 4 other sweaters, I moved around to the other ones. This was one of the lighter weight sweaters, and so I ended up putting it back on last, once on the needles last, or picking up the needles last after I had done the other ones. But I love it. I think it's a fun addition to my wardrobe. This is not my typical color palette, but I think I can pull it off. And I'm happy to have it. Okay. Other finishes. I think I might be one of the last people in the knitting world to knit the Alpine bloom hat. This is a pattern, and you're going to hear quite a bit more about Caitlin Hunter this episode. These are not intended, in that these were not necessarily on my knit list, which I want to pull up, and somebody asked for an update on that, so I do want to touch on that as far as how I'm going with my knit list for the year. I have admired this pattern but really didn't have it in my library until recently. And I still really loved the combination of this Louise Robert Designs yarn with this color of Yarn Hero Merge Sport. The color's called Glowworm. I had 4 skeins of it. I worked 2 of them into my stripy unicorn sweater with a different sport weight yarn. This is DK and this one is Sport. And I just still really saw these colors together. I didn't see them working in a sweater with all of these different colors rotating so closely to my face, but I really love them. So I cast on a hat, and this was so engaging, so potato chippy, as they say, I couldn't stop. And I knit this in a day or 2. I chose the one with the version to add a folded brim. You don't have to. And I think the pattern on screen looks fabulous. So the color work really does pop against this background. I love a folded brim. It is designed for sport weight yarn, but I think it worked out just fine with mixing the Sport and the DK. I have plenty left. I think I'm going to make more. I am going to Maryland Sheep and Wool with 5 other friends, and we are going to Yarn Centric. So this Yarn Centric is, I think, May 2nd, and we're going to Sheep and Wool May 3rd, whatever the Friday and Saturday is. We will be at Yarn Centric from 2 to 4, and we will be at the Sheep and Wool show on Saturday only. I always thought it would be fun to knit a hat for other festivals. I know there's the Rhinebeck sweater, but for Vogue New York, I always thought, why not have a hat? Because it's usually in like January, it's cold, you need a hat. So I had knit, and I think I showed in my last episode, I knit the Alcione hat, which was pattern and yarn from Subito Farms, who will be at the show. And so I also knit this hat, and I thought, maybe all 6 of us need hats. So this hat is going to be Debbie's hat. I have not really kept them a secret because sometimes they watch this and they probably see anyway, but I am showing them as I go. So you'll see 2 of those hats today. So we'll all have new hats. I think Maryland, from what I understand, can be rainy and muddy and chilly. It could be warm, kind of the same as Rhinebeck because of the fall versus spring times of year. And so a hat is a pretty low risk commitment. I did not block this. I'm not going to block them, I don't think, because I'd rather my friends decide the fit for them. So they're not really a surprise, but I'm very much enjoying who is more knit worthy than your knitting friends. So this has been fun. I might make a second. I certainly have the materials for it. It's also allowing me to choose the colors that I think my friends would like best. So I will get back to how I'm doing on my knit list when I wrap things up. So that is another finish. The ends are woven. It's pretty much done. There could be a second one. There might be a second one just in this combo. I haven't decided yet. I have cast on the hat that I'm going to knit for Michelle. And this is a pattern that I saw and said I'm definitely going to make that hat. I don't think it made it to, I don't think I had any hats on my list for this year. So this one is in progress. How precious is that? So this pattern is called Hellekindset, and it's by Lanja Kohn-Engheim. And these 2 yarns are from Morehouse Farm. They are the sport weight. I think it's called Merino 2-ply Sport. And I am using a little bit of this the pinkier edges, because Michelle is another pink girl, as accent. So the reason I chose these is because I knit Michelle the halibut mitts, Caitlin Hunter as well, in these 2 yarns, and I thought, oh gosh, I have enough left to make this hat for her. Now this does look kind of small. It has to block for sure. Everyone I'm knitting for has kind of a medium-sized head. Shannon, if you're watching, I haven't asked you, and so this is a surprise for you. But The one modification I've made so far is this pink line in the middle of the flower. It didn't call for that, but I just thought it needed a little more pink. Pink is like the barely accent color in this pattern. Morehouse, you will not find softer merino farm yarn, I think, than Morehouse. I know the goldeny orange is called Sunflower. I'm not sure the name of this color. I'm dropping stitches as I look at this. Let me just pick them up. There we go. Having a lot of fun with this. Started it yesterday, and boy, hats are so much faster than sweaters, of course. So I have given myself the challenge of making 6 over the next 3 weeks. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't know if like I said, I might repeat a pattern. I'm not sure if I'll repeat this pattern. There are 3 patterns that I've eyed, so there is a chance that I will. It's flying off the needles. This is corrugated ribbing, so it's 2x2 ribbing on the bottom. And I think it's a really, really sweet pattern. I love this flower. I think it's graphic. I love the colors together. And I think Michelle's gonna like this. If it's cold, she has coordinating mittens also. Okay. The next hat that I have planned is for Carla. In part just because Carla's colors are in this skein of yarn here, more or less. Carla is a blue girl, very much like nauticals. She likes blue and orange. So this is from Junction Fiber Mill. I think it's their DK base. They used to not do anything but DK. I once asked them, like, what weight is that? And they were like, DK, dummy. Everything is, but now they do a light version. I think they do a sport. So I wound this up here. And I also found some yarn in my stash. So this is another ball of farm yarn. This is from Foster Sheep Farm. And I knit this into a sweater for me. I think it was just maybe a year and a half ago now, maybe just over a year. And it's from Foster Sheep Farm. It is the Clare's Corrie, and this is indigo dyed. So I have a few balls of this, and I'm also pairing it with this. Do you love it, Carla? I hope so. So I have cast on the ribbing. This is going to be the Sacred Sheep hat. I received that, again, Caitlin Hunter. You're seeing a theme here. I received that pattern as a gift from Caitlin for test knitting one of her sweater designs. And I have always wanted to knit it. And so this is one of the ones that is going to go in rotation. So the folded brim, this red yarn, if you watch my episode from last week, went into my Easy V sweater. Again, pattern from Caitlin Hunter. I know there's a theme today. Caitlin Hunter's not even on my list, but I'm just having too much fun knitting for my friends. So just like with the Alpine Bloom, I did a alternating cable cast on. I think it adds a really pretty edge. I will do a folded ribbed brim on this one, and then switch to these two for the color work on the crown, on the like the head and the crown. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, since we're on Caitlin Hunter, rewinding. I do have a hat, 2 more hats for friends then to make, and I know I need a little more time to percolate on the yarns. I feel like I have enough to work on, and I'll be ready for the next one after that. This yarn was a gift to me from my friend Shannon, who has a channel here on YouTube called Whiskey and Wool. And she gave it to me this summer when I saw her. She was working through some of her stash and cleaning out, and I think Shannon doesn't wear a lot of purple. I didn't think I wore a lot of purple, but I have knit in a lot of purple this year. So I didn't have a plan on my knit list for this year for this yarn, but I very much wanted to figure out what I might make with it. And I did an Instagram live to help. I decided after I was wearing my Easy V, and even though I have 2 of them, I don't usually repeat a pattern once, much less twice. But for me, it's just such a good one. I decided just to do an Easy V sweater designed by Caitlin Hunter. And this yarn stripes, but it's a pretty long repeat in the striping. So this Handspun is a BFL silk blend, and I paired it, I asked on Instagram between 2 different browns, and the winner was this Simply Wool Worsted by Knit Picks, and the color is Winnie. Now I have an entire cardigan in this yarn, and had two skeins and some extra left over, so plenty to work with. I thought I was gonna need, I have about, I think it's 800 yards, just under 800 yards of the Handspun, which I got a little nervous that made me think I should use another color. And I love these 2 in combination. I just think it's warm. This Handspun has blue purples, it has red purples, it has pinks and tans, and I'm doing none of the color work. So I'm just using the pattern for the stitch counts and the shaping. I did consider another design which also has this V-neck, similar type of V-neck shaping. I believe it's a pattern by Midori Hirose. It just, the sleeves dropped too low. I really liked the way that I love the way my 2 other Easy V's fit. I know not everybody does. I will not do the short rows. They're just not necessary. And I am knitting a size 3, which is what my other 2 are knit to be. So that is, I'm having a lot of fun. I actually only have, I think I have about 10 more rounds, and then I have another round of increases until I'm ready to divide for sleeves. So the sleeves on this one, I will probably need to rethink. Might have to knit in 1 tube because of the self-striping yarn, and I don't want the stripes to be super thick on the sleeves. So we shall see about that. The last work in progress on my needles is a shawl for my mom. Now this is not the one that she asked me to pick up that she started knitting. This is a different design. You can actually see the colors. So she asked for a neutral colored shawl. She wants to be able to wear it kind of all over the place and not be limited by the color. So if this doesn't speak neutral, I don't know what does. So I've got 2 colors, a natural and a tan, from, once again, Foster Sheep Farm, who will be at Maryland Sheep and Wool. This base is called Galway, and all of her yarns are naturally dyed, plant dyed. The cream color here is natural. The tan is dyed with black walnut. And this is going to grow. It's more or less a circular shawl, a half circular shawl, and the striping sequences will change, and there will be change in proportion. So the amount of cream will start getting smaller, and the amount of tan will start getting larger. And in the end, it will use much more of the tan than the cream. It uses, it's a design, but it's called the Sonar shawl. It is designed by Cindy Garland, who designs under Wild Prairie Knits, and also is, she and her husband own Stunning String Studio. And Cindy designs some of the most beautiful shawls I've ever seen, and all kinds, lace, cables. She's a very prolific designer, and I have knit some of her patterns before. This one doesn't really have a ton of technical. I'd say it's a beginner shawl, and she gives you a very nice chart to check off what color you're on in the pattern. So that I am finding actually useful. I don't usually print my patterns, but I decided on this one that I should, and I'm finding that helpful. All right, that is all the nitty stuff in front of me here and on me. I did want to check in with how I'm doing against my knit list this year. So I'm just pulling it up on my iPad here. So other than the fact that these hats are not, I didn't have any hats on my list actually. I have finished one vest and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sweaters so far this year. One was not on the list because it had already, I actually started it just before the new year, but I have finished 6 sweaters and I have now finished 2 hats this year. 1 vest, 6 sweaters, and 2 hats. So the majority of those were really all on a planned knit list, and that puts me at about halfway as far as sweaters go, which is pretty exciting. I also had some designers who I was keen to knit from their designs. So I have gotten, Hana is Junko Okamoto. The Journey cardigan was Jill Zielinski. I did knit from Petite Knit, which is the Handspun sweater, and Saskie Co, which is this one. I do still have Irene Lynn, but I don't have a design picked. Carol Sunday, which I have the chiaroscuro sweater planned, which is a colorwork sport weight sweater, which I will probably not get to until after summer. Samantha Guerin, I don't have a plan for her yarns for any of her patterns. Claudia Quintanilla, Suvi Knits, Andrea Rangel, that's who's on my list right now. And Beth McDonald Stone, I did knit the vest from her earlier, her design earlier this year. So I feel pretty good. I haven't really been doing too much with the blankets, but I do think in the summer that will pick up. What else do I have? I do have more accessories, and I really am enjoying knitting the hats, and I am now at the point where I am limiting myself to 1 sweater on the needles at a time, which I think is just giving me space to knit other things. There is one project which I haven't shown in a while, which is the Escher's Dream scarf, and it's in Clinton Hill cashmere. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. I just sort of got sucked into some other things, and so it's sitting. Okay, a couple of other things I thought I would chat about. The first is just a recommendation. I went shopping, so that's it for, well, that's kind of it for knitting content. Yeah, there's a little giftaway that's coming that's knitting adjacent. All right, I went shopping for myself. The next couple of weekends, the next 4 weekends, I am going to be very busy. We have spring break from school. I am going for, I have friends from college coming to visit and stay with me. They live all over the country, and we do get together every 2 years or so. And for the first time in 30 plus years, they're coming here. So I'm excited. Todd's a little overwhelmed, but we are going to go into New York City for the day. Everyone wanted to see a show, and I live about an hour train ride out of Manhattan. And we're really usually just want to spend time catching up and hanging out with each other. So I'm excited about that. I am also going to Kripalu, which is a yoga center, kind of a retreat. It's in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, and I'm spending time with 2 friends doing that. Marilyn Sheep and Wool, Yarn Centric. And hey, if you are going to be near Ellicott City on Friday night, my friends and I are planning to go to the Walrus Oyster and Ale House, which is in Ellicott City, and I think we'll be there around 5:30. That's what we're shooting for. We'd love to see you anytime. Run into you at Yarn Centric or the festival, but if you are looking for a place to go or just want to pop in and say hi, get a hug, have a drink, whatever, that's where we chose to go. And then my son is graduating from college with his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and it has been a long 5 years, which is the length of his program. He had a year, and he had 2 semesters, but there were semesters and summers of co-op. He worked in his field. He loves what he's studying. He is certain this is what he wants to do with his professional life, and I feel really, really lucky for him. I didn't leave school knowing what I was going to do with my life, and this is really what he's hoping to do. He will probably come home first, and because he's not, right now, he doesn't have a job, and it will take some time. Things are a little upside down in the aerospace and defense industry, and I have to keep reminding myself that is okay. He has his whole life ahead of him to work. Once you start, hopefully, don't really stop working as an adult. That said, I have really been trying to think about what life will be with a young adult living back at home, which he's not a hard person to live with, but making sure that it's just an adjustment, and it's a different kind of parenting a young adult. So I guess you could say this is the end section, although we'll come back to a few other things, and ties into a book. So I really started looking for some resources to help me navigate this upcoming part of parenting. And I found through some friends, a friend who referred me to Kim Minch, Meunch, who is a parent coach and really focuses on what she calls emerging adult parent and families with emerging adults. One of the books she recommends is this one by Mark McConville, PhD, called Failure to Launch. Now, we're not really there yet, but I thought it might be useful, and I'm barely into it. I thought it might be useful to just kind of see what I might glean from it, since I find there are a lot of parent coaching things around substance, around, at least where I live, college coaching and athletic, coaching and preparation for college. Part of that's because I work in a high school, but I really wasn't finding much for parenting emerging adults and making that shift with young adults coming home. I did attend a webinar that Kim Minch offered. I do follow her on Instagram, and I think there's some very sound practices which include setting healthy boundaries and collaborative problem solving. So I'm going to leave it there because this is not a parent coaching video. I'm not a certified parent coach, but I am finding some really helpful tools. So if you have been through this or are going through this and have any advice, by all means, let me know. I'd love to know what you have found helpful, or who you're following, or what practices you've even embraced. I am looking at it as kind of a gift of having more time, but also knowing that things need to be different. Okay, I've got two more things. We'll end it with the giftaway. The first is, for my son's graduation, I decided I really wanted to have a new dress. So after work on Friday, I took myself to the mall and had seen a dress online that they actually had in the store that fit perfectly. That doesn't always happen, but I'm very excited. I love it. Todd, my husband, said, "Oh, that's one of the best dresses you've bought in a while." I'm not really sure what he meant by that, other than he really liked it. Not sure if he doesn't like any of the other ones, but he liked the style. It's very flattering, and it's springy, and it's fun, and it has a lot of pink flowers on it, and the bottom is more of a ivory white color. I also went into a store and purchased what is hands down my favorite hand lotion. It is by Lush. It is called Helping Hands hand cream. I'm really not into some of these places like Lush, Yankee Candle, Bath and Body Works. I find can be an attack on the senses. I became much more scent sensitive when I was pregnant with my first child, my son, and he has no tolerance for certain scents, which maybe he was transferring that to me. I'm not really sure. But I don't like my body to smell like a cake. I don't like the smell of food on me. So usually these places I just kind of avoid, but somehow I stumbled onto this hand lotion, and there is nothing better. It says soothe and soften dry hands with honey, almond, and lavender. It is sensational. I have not had it. It is not cheap, I will admit. Lush, I think, is a British brand, and I don't know if their products are vegan, vegetarian. This one is vegetarian. I think their packaging is all recyclable. You may even be able to bring it back and get it refilled. I'm kind of making that up, so I'm not sure. Many of the products have expiration dates on them, and I don't know, I feel like this was sort of developed for nurses. There's probably a story here. Yeah, bring it back. It pays to recycle with us. Return the clean, empty packaging for $1 off. So, incentive to recycle also. Again, this is not an inexpensive product, but I think it is very, very worthwhile. And I have found, I have tons of lotions. This is really the only one I love, and I can embrace the scent. It is not overly, if anything, it's more of an almond scent than anything. Obviously, if you have a nut allergy, this might not be for you. But if you don't, give it a try. You can also get a sample. You can go into one of their stores and they have small sample sizes. They gave me, when I left, a sample body soap, like a bar soap to try, as well as I asked for a sample size of this so I could take it to work and then I can just keep refilling it. Love, love. I have not had this in a while because I don't know what made him get, but Todd got a much larger size tub of a different variety, and it's okay. I don't love it. It's not as moisturizing. It's called Sleepy. It's lovely, but it's not this. Okay. Last but not least, I have a little, calling it a giftaway, because the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is leave a comment telling me you would like these. These are earrings. They are designs by Yasmin. She makes beautiful jewelry out and includes yarn. So I have a pair of them. And I bought them, I think she was having a sale, selling them like post Rhinebeck, and they're sweet, but they're very, very large, as you can see. And they're just too large in format for me. I think I've worn them once. They have this kind of little hook backing, and I have these protectors so they don't come off on the backing. But if this is something you would like, or you would like, you know somebody who will, I've asked my local knitting friends if they would wear it. It's just too much. It's too much for me to wear, as you can see here. So if you would like them, please leave a comment. I will put anybody, just say, I love the earrings. And I'm gonna make it domestic US, because this is not really a contest. And I don't really want to pay for shipping costs right now to somewhere too far. But to make it continental US. And but if it's something you would like and enjoy, I will do a random poll from any comments. There aren't a ton of comments usually, so even if, so you might have, the odds should be good. May the odds be in your favor. I think that is going to be a wrap for today. And it was good to catch up with you. And I will see you next time. Take care and happy knitting.